going to be talking about nets. If you had a 3D shape made out of paper that was all folded and taped together, and you pulled the tape off and laid the figure out flat, then you would get the net of that 3D dimensional solid. So here's the pattern that you can cut and fold to make a model of a solid shape. So we have here cube. If you cut all the sides apart and folded that cube out flat, this would be the net of a cube. Now if you look, there's some of the sides that you can't see. You see number 2, and you see 5, and you see 3, but then we have 1 on the other side, we would have 4 over here, and we would have 6 down here. So because it's three-dimensional, then you don't see some of the sides. Just like in the previous video when we had the triangular pyramid, there was a face of that pyramid that you could not see. Well, now in our three-dimensional figures, we have what we call pyramids and we have what we call prisms. They are completely different. A pyramid has triangular sides. All of the sides of a pyramid are triangular and it comes to one point, has one base. A prism will have 2 bases. Now let's just go over prisms. Try drawing a shape on a piece of paper using straight lines. Then imagine it extending up from the sheet of paper. That is a prism. So here we have a trapezoid. So if you drew that trapezoid and then you took that shape, brought it up to where it had sides, that is what a prism would be. So you can see this prism has 2 bases. And those bases are parallel to each other and are the identical congruent shape. The rest of the sides are rectangle. Okay? Now, a prism does not have curves. A prism is a polyhedron, which means the cross-section will be a polygon, a straight-edged figure, so all sides will be flat. No curved sides. So, for example, a cylinder is not a prism. This is a cylinder and it's not a prism because it has curved sides. A prism is a polyhedron, which means the cross-section will be a polygon, a straight-edged figure, so all sides will be flat. So let's go over what it means to have a cross-section of a prism. If we look here, this is what we call a cross-section of a prism. If you took your prism and you cut it in half, this right here would be your cross-section. And that cross-section is flat on each side. There's no curves on it. So that's what makes it a prism. So this cross-section here is a square. Well, you can also see your bases of this figure. There's only 2 squares. All the rest of the sides are rectangles. Your 2 bases of square, that's what your cross-section will be. Here, we have a triangular prism because we have a triangle base. We have this base and we have this base. Now notice the sides are all rectangles. So the cross-section, if we were to cut this shape in half, is also a triangle because that's what its 2 bases are. Now here we have a rectangular prism. So there all sides are rectangular. So its cross-section is a rectangular. So notice the cross-section of a 3D prism is the same as the base of the 3D figure. So you'll need to know that. So when you go do pyramids, you'll be able to tell the difference between a prism and a pyramid. So what is a pyramid? Well, a pyramid has an apex. That's what we call this top part. When you have all your sides that come together and meet at one point at the very top, that's an apex. So a pyramid is made by connecting a base to an apex. Here's your base, has one base. That base has triangular sides that come together and meet at the apex. Each side is a triangle that makes the apex that is connected to the base. Each pyramid is named by the shape of the base, not bases, by the shape of the base. So whatever the one base is of the pyramid, that is what you call that shape. So here's just a few types of pyramids. There are many types of pyramids that are named after the shape of their base. We have a triangular pyramid. Well, the base is a triangle. If you look here, you can see the triangle base. We have a square pyramid. Well, you can see the base is a square, so that makes it a square pyramid. And each one of these have an apex because the triangular sides meet together to one point. Here we have a pentagonal pyramid. Well, it has 5 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and because that's the base, this is a pentagonal pyramid. And here's a little information that you will need to know about pyramids before you learn to find the volume and surface area of that shape. Some information on different parts of the pyramid you will have to use. We have the height, we have the slanted length, and then the perimeter of the base. So this is just a little information you're going to need in the next upcoming videos. Now, let's look at some nets. Now that we've named the different types of nets that we could have, let's go over some of these nets. Now, here we have a net of a cube. So if we folded and taped this all together into a 3D figure, it would become a cube. Here we have the net of a rectangular prism, because these are all rectangles. So if we folded this, it would become a rectangle, a 3D dimensional rectangle. Here we have a triangular prism. Now notice there's only two bases, okay? And those bases are triangles. So that is what names your prism. Notice all the sides are rectangles on this particular shape. So since those sides are rectangles, this is our base. These are the two congruent shapes. Here we have a triangular pyramid. Now all of this has the same shapes. It is a triangle put together to make a pyramid, but the bottom base is also a triangle. So it's not going to look quite as different as having a triangle as your base here and rectangles as your sides. Now here's a net of a pyramid. Here we have a square. Here we have a square base. So it's just a pyramid. You have a square pyramid, or you can call it a pyramid. But you see it's rectangle sides. Now your net may look a little different than this one, but you will see that it has one square bottom and then four triangular sides, because a square has four sides. Nets can come differently, but when you cut them out and fold them, some of them will make the same shape. Here we have a cylinder. If we cut this out, we can like glue it into a circle, and then it'll have two circles as its base. So your cylinder has two bases that are circles. Here's a net of a cone. Now the base of a cone is a circle, and then this right here would make the cone of the shape. Now let's go over what we're going to do with these. What you're going to do is you're going to take your nets that your teacher gave you, and it's going to go with your Geomadoodle. Your Geomadoodle you should have glued, and here's your Geomadoodle right here. You should have glued this into your spiral or your notebook. Then after where you glued this Geomadoodle, you're going to turn the page, and you're going to take your nets that you've been given, and you're going to cut them out, and you're going to glue the base onto your spiral. So if you wanted, you could fold it, and it would make your 3D dimensional shape. So once you cut out one net and you glue just the base, just this base, you leave the sides free so you can make your 3D shape. You will turn the page and skip a page and do your next net. You have been given several nets, okay? And you will cut them out, glue the base so you can fold up the sides. Okay, so each net you're going to cut out, glue the base, skip a page. Cut your next net out, glue it down by just one of the bases, and then skip a page. Because you're going to be taking notes on how to find the volume and surface area of each one of these nets. So if you glue it, you can turn the page, and on the back of that page you can write your notes on how to find the volume and surface area. That'll be in the next videos to come later on this week. If you have any questions, make sure you ask your teacher, talk to your parents, and get this done so you'll have your notes for the next day for your grades. And this concludes this video.